Hello, everyone. I'm Matthew Haas, Superintendent for Albemarle County Public Schools, and I'm really excited for the second edition of our podcast here with Albemarle County Schools. If you've listened to the first one, you know that every podcast that we do will feature a guest I've invited to just give us a glimpse into their lives and to talk to us a bit about how and why they do what they do for our community. I hope it'll be interesting to our listeners, and I know we'll learn something from every conversation. So today's guest is Augusta Enns. Augusta is a very special teacher in Albemarle County Schools. She works at Jack Jouett Middle School. And so, Augusta, what is it that you do at Jack Jouett?
Yeah, I love to talk about this. So first, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to tell you about my dog later. But what I do at Jack Jouett is I'm technically an exploratory teacher. Right now, I'm teaching two courses, project-based learning, and then the other one is leadership exploration. Last semester, I taught AVID, and last year, I taught corpus reading and a leadership skills class as well.
Wow. So I'm used to hearing about some of the academic classes that the schools offer. Tell me a little bit about the project-based learning class.
Sure. So this is something that we started at Jouett last year. And in the same way that students who are in an honors language arts class take another language, such as Spanish, students who are in an advanced math class, such as geometry, take project-based learning. And so it was just 8th grade last year, but this year we've introduced it for 7th grade as well. And it is a class I describe as I don't teach a content, I teach a process. So the students decide what we learn, and I implement the process of how we learn. It starts with a driving question, which is relevant, authentic, something the students are truly curious about and interested in. And then we continue the process through what we call sustained inquiry, fancy word for research. The students are asked to connect it to their own lives so that we can ensure that they're truly interested in it and that it actually makes sense we're spending time to learn on it. They use their voice and make choices throughout the process in order to drive learning in the way that they see best fit. Then we do critique and revision sessions where we do a lot of peer critique and also get revisions from outside sources. They reflect on their learning every day, and it culminates in a public product that we share with an intentional audience outside of our classroom.
That's amazing work. It's so important. We talk about 21st century skills such as critical thinking and creativity and really communication skills. It sounds a lot of what you're working on here. And I have been in on a couple of the community meetings that you've held with your students, and you do an amazing job with that.
Thank you.
How do you help the students deal with jitters that they might get before they do their presentations to some big players like our Board of Supervisors or sometimes state delegates?
Yeah, so it definitely starts at the beginning of the year with establishing a close-knit community and a positive and uplifting classroom culture. If I can start the year or the semester like that, I know that I'm going to have a relationship with them that can, really push the rigor and bring things out of them. We do public speaking lessons throughout the year and implement intentional practices each day. I start class with a really fun attendance question. So they get to talk about something that they like we talked about, what's your favorite pizza topping yesterday? So they practice public speaking. And then, of course, we do peer reviews where they'll work in a small group to present. Then they'll work as the whole class to present. So by the time we have fancy people in the room with us that are listening to the presentations, the students have practiced multiple times and hopefully they get the jitters out. They're usually nervous and they express that to me, but as long as I hype them up, they do their best.
Yeah, I noticed you praise them a lot during the sessions. That's really important.
Yeah.
So how did you decide that you wanted to be a teacher?
Ooh, good question. So I have that childhood story that many teachers have. I had a younger sibling. Whenever I would clean out my locker at the end of the year, I'd have all these extra books. I would sit my 4-year-old sister down at this old desk that my mom had as a kid, and I was so prepared to make her ready for 2nd grade as a 4-year-old. So I, did all the lessons and had a chalkboard and a little desk and everything. But it was something that I'd always been interested in. Worked in the church nursery as a a teenager, taught swim lessons as well. So I've always been interested in teaching. I actually went to school for fine arts and got a degree in studio arts, and decided also to get a degree in education too. And so my first certification was in art ed. And I wasn't really looking for a middle school job. I wasn't really looking for a project-based learning job, but it's what I found, and I truly fell in love with it. It also helps that many people in my family are teachers. That younger sister is also on the path to become a teacher now, and our mom is a teacher as well.
That's amazing. So it's in your blood.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
If you were not a teacher, what else do you think you might do?
I definitely would pursue my fine arts degree. I would probably pour a lot more time into that. I also studied dance pre-professionally for quite a while and really enjoyed that. So something like a studio painter or a dancer would be definitely my next choice after teacher.
That's awesome. When I first started teaching, I taught 7th grade and 8th grade. And you'll often hear people talk about middle school students and how they are unique. What is it that you think makes middle school students unique?
So I have a 6th grade advisory class, and then I also teach 7th grade and 8th grade. So I get to see the full spectrum each year. It's one of the benefits of being an exploratory teacher. And I would say that each grade level is so developmentally different. And that's probably what makes middle schoolers have that persona of being unique. Those 6th graders, they're still willing to please you and interested in that. But by the time they're in 8th grade, they're more like high schoolers. So what makes them unique is they're going through so many challenges, changes, and transitions in this 6th through 8th grade year. And so it allows you to really dig in and give them the choice to explore what they're interested in. And then their responses are very deep, but also can be very comical as well. And I'd say that's what makes middle schoolers so fun to work with.
Yeah, they are. They are a lot of fun. You never know what the day will bring. And when I was a teacher, people would ask me what did I like best about middle school students, and I would say they always want to do something.
Yes.
It's not hard to get them motivated to, no matter what it is. If you're excited about it, they'll be excited about it. And that excitement is contagious, especially when teachers are as creative as you are and take time to solicit from the students their ideas about the kinds of projects that they do.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, what would you say really inspires you the most or motivates you, particularly when you're going to have a hard day?
Definitely the students, 100%. If I know it's going to be a hard day, I make a super silly attendance question. Like today we talked about what is your favorite activity to do in the snow in hopes of a snow day. And their answers honestly bring me so much joy and bring me back to a place where it reminds me why I chose this profession and why I'm so involved is always the students are what motivate me.
What was, do you recall anything that the students said about playing in the snow?
We got a lot of answers about snowball fights with their siblings. Also, several students interested in not playing in the snow at all, staying inside with a warm cup of hot cocoa and looking out at everybody else enjoying the snow. And a lot of kids loved playing with their dogs or building igloos. I don't know. It just really is so refreshing to think back on your own childhood when the students are sharing this. And it's encouraging too, especially during this difficult time, to know that there's something that brings them joy, whether it's pizza toppings or what you play with in the snow.
That is so true. And you mentioned dogs, and I understand. I've heard that you have quite a dog.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. People probably get annoyed with me for how much I talk about him, but I don't have any children. So my dog is my child. His name is Rawson. He's 8 years old. He's a bit of a miracle. We found him the day after Christmas in a parking lot, hobbling on 3 legs. And he just jumped right into our car, and we've had him ever since. I grew up with him. He's my childhood dog. And so I'm really grateful to have him
now. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he is the best. And he is, I should also have said, what motivates me is my dog, too. He lays at my feet all day. Right now, he's right across from me on the chair. And he just keeps me company. I mean, he's got this personality that is so apathetic. It is really funny.
Do you get out for walks with, is it Roxanne or
Rawson, R-A-W-S-O-N. Yeah, we go on multiple walks. Honestly, it has brought so much structure to my life, especially since we've been virtual for this amount of time. I haven't had the same structure in my life as I did when I woke up at a certain time to go into the school building and left at a certain time. So Rawson's walks provide that for me. We go on a walk before school, during school, after school, and then in the evening as well. And he gets me, to meet my neighbors and to the park, and such a good companion to have, especially when it's a time where most of us are so isolated.
Yeah, that is so wonderful. I agree. Several times I've been talking to my wife about our dog, because we have a hound dog, and I'll say, he really helps me get through all this,
Yeah,
because they're just consistent. They just are there for you.
absolutely.
You had mentioned earlier about one of your attendance questions was, what is your favorite topping on a pizza? So, you had to know when you mentioned that I was going to want to know what yours is.
Yes. Okay. My favorite kind of pizza is margarita pizza. And the kids freaked out when I said that, mostly because I thought they thought I was saying something inappropriate and referencing alcohol in school. But we had to explain that margarita pizza has the big slices of tomatoes and mozzarella cheese and basil. So those three are my favorite combo.
Oh, yeah. And so around town, like, what's your favorite place to go to get pizza?
Ooh, this is a good question. So I'm relatively new to Charlottesville. I moved here for the job, among other things. So I can't say that I have necessarily a favorite Charlottesville pizza place. I will give a shout out to my favorite Cincinnati pizza place, which is where I'm from. It's called Dewey's Pizza. And if you are ever in the Cincinnati area, people tell you to check out Skyline Chili, which, yes, I agree with, but you have to check out Dewey's Pizza in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's the best.
I'm going to make a note of that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If anybody has any suggestions for Charlottesville pizza, I'm all for it.
Well, I think most people would agree that as far as locals go, it would be Christian's Pizza.
Yeah.
So they're up on Route 29 and also at the downtown mall. And I've had the margarita pizza there, among other pizza, and they really do a great job at that restaurant.
I'll have to check it out this weekend.
Yeah, so they're good. And then there's some other places that people like to go to, but that's pretty accessible, especially off Route 29.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a couple more questions, and one of them is, when you think about your career so far, what would you say is the one accomplishment that you've made so far that you feel you're going to look back on with the most pride?
I have had so many awesome opportunities at Jack Jouett. Our administration is incredible. They allow me to make all of these choices. And so we've had a lot of really cool things, such as presenting before people at the county office building with an affordable housing plan. We also had a project last year where we partnered up with Wild Rock and some nature consultants to propose some adjustments to the trail systems. But I would have to say that my greatest accomplishment is definitely my relationships with my students. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't be able to achieve such success without those foundations and relationships. So when a student, emails me and says, "Can we hang out on Zoom today during office hours?" or emails me asking a question, or just a previous student reaches out and says hello, like, I feel like that's the greatest thing that I can look back at, especially someone who's not from here. I was worried about building those deep connections and relationships. So the fact that that's been able to happen is definitely my greatest accomplishment.
Well, that's wonderful. And I think that you're the kinds of experiences that you're working with your students on, they're learning a lot. They're also experiences that they're just never going to forget.
Yeah.
A lot of it because of that relationship, but also because it's so local, what they're working on, they're having local impact. Mm-hmm. Well, I just want to thank you very, very much, Augusta, for taking time with me today. Yeah. Again, for everyone who's listening to the podcast, this is Augusta Enns, Jack Jouett Middle School teacher. It's really been such a pleasure to talk with you and to learn more about you. So thank you so much for joining me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. This has been great. And be sure to say hi to your hound dog for me.
I will. And you say hi to Ralston for me.
Will do. Thank you so much.
You take care. Thank you.
Thanks. Y'all too.
Hello.